أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. The topic under discussion is Chaucer as a modern poet. Let's take a start. Chaucer is a modern among the medieval and medieval among the modern, says a critic. Chaucer is the father of English poetry and the earliest of the great modern writers and poets. When Chaucer started writing poetry, the light of modernism was not visible at that time. It was Chaucer who finished the chapter of old traditions and introduced a new era of great modern period of English literature. This line is very important. Okay, Chaucer finished the chapter of old traditions and introduced a new era of great modern period of English literature. Just like Dante is a bridge between the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. This is very important. कि अगर आपसे ये सवाल पूछा जाए कि who is the bridge between the Middle Ages and Renaissance, तो ये आंसर जो है वो क्या आएगा? Chaucer. He is romantic as well as realist. This is also very important. His modernism consists of the following themes. Number one, observation and realism. First element of modern poetry is observation and realism. This element of modernism is one of the most important features of Chaucer's poetry. This quality has made him the first great observer and realist of English poetry. With him is born a real poetry, says Matthew Arnold. He was a great observer and a painter in portraying his lifelike characters. He had the great power to analyze and observe keenly and minutely to depict what he observed around him. In the prologue to the Canterbury Tales, the details of each character show as if his eyes were wandering here and there, noticing each and every detail. It depicts each pilgrim's appearance, dressing, manners, and qualities of head and heart, root and branch. This is very important. Okay, he depicts each pilgrim's appearance, dressing, manners, qualities, head and heart, root and branch. Franklin's beard is white as daisy, and he has a Schengen complexion. Similarly, he observes the yellow hair of Parna, the ulcer on the cook's skin, and the nose of the wife of the bath, which is a fine scarlet red. These are the words that Chaucer uses. These details clearly show that the pilgrims depicted by Chaucer were real human beings, and no other literary work of his age has this quality of realism. No other literary work before Chaucer portrays the society so clearly as he does. This is the first and the most important thing that should be kept in mind while writing about Chaucer. So we can say the first quality that is attached to modern poetry is observation and realism, and Chaucer has both these things, so we can call him a modern poet. The second quality that is common among the modern and the writer or the poet we are considering here, Chaucer, objectivity. Chaucer is never subjective while writing about any of the characters. He has detached himself. उसने अपने पर्सनल व्यूज, पर्सनल फीलिंग्स कुछ भी जो है वो उसमें इन्वॉल्व नहीं किया. ही इज नो मोर सब्जेक्टिव. यू कैन से कि ही हैज नॉट अप्लाइड सब्जेक्टिविटी. ही इज ऑब्जेक्टिव. Second major quality of modern poetry is objectivity and detachment. He doesn't show any partiality or prejudice in portraying his characters. He observes the flaws, frailties, and foibles of the people with his intellect, detachment, and penetration, ensures their feelings and is ready to become one with them. For the time being, he doesn't try to describe them according to his own thinking. Rather, he describes them as they really are. The characters like the wife of Bath, The summoner and the partner are contemptible members of the society. ये देखिए ये वो characters हैं who are contemptible, who are not liked by anyone in the society. But Chaucer is not showing his feelings even in case of portraying all these characters, uh, members of society of his time because of their follies. But neither has he hated them nor has the zeal to reform his society. तो ये बात भी बहुत important है कि he is no more patronizing any kind of reformation. A critic observes Chaucer has a philosophy of universal tolerance. This is very important line that a critic has said about Chaucer, that he has a philosophy of universal tolerance. He tolerates everything that he has to tolerate. He is objective in case of portraying his characters. That is why we can call him a modern poet. The third one is Renaissance. Third main quality of modern literature is Renaissance. Renaissance gives great consideration to the individual characterization. The characterization of individual character is the trait of Chaucer's poetry, and it makes him a modern poet. That's why even when he criticizes, his attack is on the individuals, not the institutions. He gives the details of each and every character separately and distinguishes them through their dresses, gestures, physical appearances, and feelings. The next quality is humor. Fourth main feature of modern writing is use of humor. Chaucer is the first great English humorist in English literature, says a renowned critic. It is Chaucer who first time wrote human comedy and introduced it in the form of poetry. His humor is free of any partiality, prejudice, and bitter ridicule, sneer biting, sarcasm, or corrosive satire. He exposes the vanities and absurdities of the prioress, the worldly interests of the monk and the friar, the lucrative attitude of the summoner, and the double standards of the partner. He ironically portrays the doctor's deep love for gold in medicine is a cordial. These are the lines that Chaucer used for the doctor. This quality is uh, this quality is this quality of humor is also the main characteristic of great English writers like Shakespeare and Fielding. अब जहाँ तक ह्यूमर का ताल्लुक है तो ये शेक्सपियर और फील्डिंग ने भी इस्तेमाल किया है, इसलिए ये चूंकि अगर मॉडर्न है तो चौसर भी मॉडर्न हुआ. This quality of humor is also the main characteristics of great English writers like Shakespeare and Fielding. That's why Chaucer becomes a modern poet. E. Albert says, in the literature of his time, when Sufi poets seem to have any perception of the fun in life, the humor of Chaucer is invigorating and delightful. The next quality that is attached to the modern poets is emphasis on human emotions. Fifth main feature of modern writings is that they emphasize on human emotions. Chaucer is also distinguished and uncrowned monarch in this field. We know that human emotions haven't got any change even after the lapse of so many years. Chaucer's poetry also contains touches of emotions. That's why his portraits are the portraits belonging to all the ages, groups, and nations. We come across the characters which think and feel as we do. In this sense, he can be called the forerunner of modern novel of character. G.K. Chesterton calls him the grandfather of English novel. This line is also very important, that G.K. Chesterton calls him the grandfather of the novel, of the English novel. He is called the father of English literature, but G.K. Chesterton calls him the grandfather of the English novel. अगर क्वेश्चन ये पूछा जाए who does call Chaucer the grandfather of English novel, so it should be clear in your mind that G.K. Chesterton has called him the grandfather of the English novel. Dramatic element is the next quality. Another quality of modern writings is the dramatic element. Chaucer's works are replete with dramatic elements. We all know that he has never written a drama or novel, but his works have the touches of dramatic elements which are introduced in drama and novel. These elements include story, dialogues, conflict, characterization, and settings, etc. Further, there is no use of personification and allegory in his writings. He enlivens an old story to expose the complexities and complications of sentiments by his soft touches as a dramatic observer. One of the most sustained dramatic characters is of the host. Further, some stories can be culled to perform on the stage. A.C. Watt calls Chaucer a born dramatist. These are the comments. Who does call Chaucer a born dramatist? It is A.C. Watt. According to him, he is not only a superb narrator but a dramatic genius as well. So, if we have to conclude this discussion, we can say to sum up, no doubt Chaucer is rightly called the evening star of the medieval day and the morning star of the Renaissance. He is truly a modern poet because his works have all the elements of modern writings. He has realism, Catholicity, humor, Renaissance spirit, and style, which are the prominent features of modernism. We fully agree with the remarks of a critic who observes if we take 30% of Goldsmith, 50% of Fielding, and 20% of Walter Scott and vitalize this compound with the spirit of 14th century, perhaps we should get fairly near to another Chaucer. These are the comments that are on a critic. तो अगर इस हवाले से आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछा जाए कि डिस्कस चौसर एज अ मॉडर्न पोइट, तो वी विल हैव टू कंसिडर ऑल दीज थिंग्स. We will have to discuss these features. The first one is observation and realism that is found in Chaucer. We have already discussed it. And the second one is objectivity. Then comes Renaissance, then humor, and emphasis on human emotions is their dramatic element. And then we can conclude that Chaucer is rightly called the evening star of the medieval day and the morning star of the Renaissance. अगर short questions में sorry MCQs में आपसे ये पूछ लिया जाए कि who is called the evening star of the medieval day and the morning star of the Renaissance, तो फिर ये जवाब आएगा Chaucer, not anybody else. और अगर ये स्टेटमेंट आपको दे दी जाए कि if we take 30% of Goldsmith, 50% of Fielding and 20% of Walter Scott, what can we get? तो आंसर में यही आएगा कि we should get fairly near to another Chaucer. These are the comments, these are the remarks of a renowned critic. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself, your family, and the state, and especially the whole humanity. Allah Hafiz.